Directed by Umberto Lenzi. Produced by Joe D'Amato. Yes, Ghosthouse. La Casa 3 was filmed in the same house as Lucio Fulci's The House by the Cemetery. And it's this week's movie. Hey guys, I'm Sam from BNS About Movies. You can come to the website at www.bnsaboutmovies.com or send me an email at bnsaboutmovies@gmail.com. Ghost House starts in the past, right after Henrietta killed her pet cat. Her father locks her down in the basement along with that creepy clown doll. He tells his wife that his daughter has been possessed by the devil. Before they can do anything, she kills him with an axe to the head, explodes a mirror, sends shards of it into the eyes of her mom, Fulci style. This movie hasn't even started yet. We haven't even got credits yet, and it's already insane. Anyways, here we are back in our time, or, 1988. We meet our hero, Paul Rogers. He's just your typical guy. He does data entry. He's got a ham radio. He's got call letters on top of his setup, made with a wooden router. Maybe something like your aunt would have in her house. All he wants to do is sit on his bed and eat chili with his girlfriend, Martha. Except she keeps hearing cries for help over his ham radio. I should mention that this is my favorite genre. It's Italians in America being maniacs. All of the dialogue in this movie is absolutely insane because it's dialogue written so they think that it's made in America, but it is, but it also isn't. So there's moments of strange padding where there are things that they think American teenagers would talk about. Paul at one point discusses Simon Le Bon with a female ham radio operator, and she asks, "Who's more popular in Denver, Kim Basinger or Kelly LeBrock?" I've never had this discussion. Now someone's going to do it to me next time I see them. Anyways, we hear those screaming again in a strange song. And they're able to track the signal to the house we saw at the beginning of the film. It's Dr. Freudenstein's house. I get it. You should not go there. No one listened. And they meet another ham radio operator. Ham radio was the internet of the 80s, I guess. Anyways, they walk on the porch. Martha says that the house has an evil aura, but her accent is so thick in the dubbing that it really is. This movie is a master class in Italian exploitation dialogue. And Paul just doesn't want to go in. She doesn't want to go in until finally Paul says, yeah, let's do it. And that's where they meet the Dowlands, Jim, Mark, and Tina, along with Susan. These friends have been interested in the house, and Jim might have been the ham radio operator that Paul heard scream. But don't get too tied into anybody. Everybody is going to die. There's going to be a flying fan blade to the throat, a hammer to the brain. Someone gets chopped in half. Someone gets hung. Even the basement floor, poltergeist style, is going to split apart to reveal a milky white substance that is acid. There's even a wacky hitchhiker who walks through the house looking for silver to steal. They get killed. And you know what? I can't even tell you this film's shocking ending. No one gets out of this movie alive, and it's all Henrietta's fault. She's the kid we saw kill her parents earlier. She just keeps it up. Why? Well, her father stole that clown doll from another child's coffin and gave it to her, which got her possessed. Just some advice, parenting advice from Roberta Lindsay. If you go to a funeral and they're burying a child and there's a toy in the coffin, do not steal it and give it to your own child. Martha finds the doll, leading to paper rabbits, feathers, and other toys, all which attack, and then it ends with the doll sneaking up behind Martha to choke her. I mean, honestly, this is taken from Poltergeist, but it is amazing. We also get a Vikos, who is a backwoods weirdo old guy that warns the kids. He stalks and kills at random, and he is Donald O'Brien, Dr. Butcher MD himself. He's the one that hits someone in the hammer to the head, and then he shuts a coffin lid on a still alive mortician. Man, Ghost House is awesome. If you like severed heads, ghost dogs, dialogue about Jack the Ripper and the Salem witch trials that make no sense, policemen in over their heads that just fill us with exposition, explosions, maggots, synthesized sounds that repeat over and over again until they make you feel as trapped as the characters in the film. Man, this movie's awesome. It's real easy to find, and you should definitely check it out. But you might be wondering, oh, you said that this was called La Casa. Let me take a breath. Man, La Casa is almost as confusing as the lineage of the demon movies, but we can get through it. Imagine that I have a giant board here filled with strings and things tied together like some kind of conspiratorial maniac in my basement. La Casa is really the first one is 1981's Evil Dead, the Sam Raimi movie. It was named The House instead of Inori Morti, which is what Evil Dead should be. if it's translated properly into Italian. La Casa sounded like a great name. It came out as that in 1981. 1987, La Casa 2 was released, and that obviously is Evil Dead 2. That okay, we're making sense. In 1988, La Casa 3, Ghosthouse came out, also known as Evil Dead 3. It was distributed by Film Mirage, is who you can guess that is the company of Joe D'Amato. And Umberto Lenzi used my favorite name for himself here, Humphrey Humbert, to direct this. And when asked in the book Spaghetti Nightmares, Joe D'Amato said that the idea was to change the title to Casa 3, and that made the film a success. If we'd kept the original title, no one would have seen it. This played all over the world with other titles like The Nightmare House, The Haunted House Enigma, and even House 3 in Argentina. So, as for Casa 4, that is the movie Witchery. That movie is also a Film Mirage film. And it was also released as Witchcraft, Return of the Exorcist, Encounter with Evil, Devil's Return, Witchery, and Evil Encounters. And that stars David Hasselhoff and Linda Blair. It also has a scene where a Sesame Street brand tape recorder gets possessed, which is pretty amazing. La Casa 5 is a Claudia Fergaso directed movie, and that is also known as Evil Dead 5, Horror House 2, Ghost House 6. What? Uh, there's no original Horror House either. And House 5, because why not? In the US, it's known as Beyond Darkness. And it reunites the Troll 2 dream team and married couple, Fergaso and Rosale Drudy, with the child star of that film, Michael Stevenson, who peed all over a table. Joe D'Amato himself was the cinematographer for it, and Laura Gemser, Black Emanuel herself, made the costumes. How can it miss? It's pretty wild. There's a satanic child killer going after a priest's family. How do Roman Catholic priests have kids? Who knows? I mean, they are from Italy. You should figure they know how it works. But yeah, Witchery is pretty rad. Then there is La Casa 6. The American House 2 is known as La Casa 6. Okay. This movie isn't even a sequel to that film, right? The original house is called Che è sepolto in quella casa, which is who is buried in that house. House 2 is also called La Casa de Helen in Italy. All right, we're getting a little confused. La Casa 7 is House 3, which in the US wasn't called House 3, it was called The Horror Show. It's an Alan Smithy movie. This is also called Evil Dead 7. Oh my gosh. So, if you want to figure out what are the Evil Dead movies, there's Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, Ghost House is Evil Dead 3, Witchery is Evil Dead 4, Beyond Darkness is 5. There's no number 6, and 7 is the Horror Show. So, wait, Sam, isn't there Army of Darkness? Yes. Literally, that was called Army of Darkness in Italy, La Armata della Tenebre, the Army of Darkness. Well, the reboot was also called La Casa. There's no La Casa 8, but there is a House 4 in the US. And House 4 in Italy is known as House 4 Presente Impalpabili, which means impalpable presences. It's also known as my favorite title, Who Killed Roger? Chi Hai Useo Roger. And the font completely rips off Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It looks like a Who Framed Roger Rabbit poster. Oh my gosh. Scream for Help, the Michael Winner movie, was also released in Italy as La Casa in Hell Street. Thanks to my friend David Asisino for that one. There are only two house movies with William Catt in the lead, and therefore only one La Casa, and only one that had its set reused. House 1 and 4 is the same house from People Under the Stairs. Gosh, I know way too much about La Casa. I'm sorry, guys. So that would make the house movies House in the US, House 2, House 3, which is the horror show, only releases the horror show in the US, House 4, and then do we count La Casa 5? Beyond the Darkness? We're almost done. Except there are sequels to Ghost House, which is the movie we just talked about in this episode. There's Ghost House, and Witchery is considered Ghost House 2. House of Lost Souls, the Umberto Lenzi TV movie that never aired on TV, is Ghost House 3, and Ghost House 4 is House of Witchcraft. Gosh, this is starting to feel like Who's on First, isn't it? Anyway, let's get a little deeper. One more round. Horror House, which you talked about, is House 3, which is La Casa 7, which is the horror show. Horror House 2 is La Casa 5, which is Evil Dead 5, which is Beyond Darkness. There is no Evil Dead 6. I have no idea what they called Evil Dead Rise in Italy, but I do know that the Fox TV movie from 1991, The Haunted, is called La Casa delle Anime Perdute, The House of Lost Souls. And then also the movie Dream Demon, the British movie, was released in Italy as La Casa al number no 13 in Horror Street, the house at number 13 Horror Street. Oh my gosh, La Casa is super confusing. Don't get me started on demons. Anyways, this is BNS about movies, a super long episode where I talked way too long about Italian movies that only I care about. Hopefully you do too. And if you do, come to bnsaboutmovies.com and you can also reach out to me, maybe for help, at bnsaboutmovies at gmail.com. Goodbye from La Casa.